Right guys, the dust has settled on yesterday's championship action and we've got a full fixture list to preview with all the games coming up on Easter Monday now. As always, I want to hear from you in the comments down below. If you went to a game in the championship yesterday, leave your thoughts on it and also get your score predictions in for all of the matches we've got coming up on Monday. It's going to be hectic, but let's jump into it. And we're starting out with an absolutely huge game at the bottom of the championship. It's Cardiff going up against Oxford. I think most of us thought that Cardiff would probably lose that game on Friday against Sheffield United, and while it was a bit of a hammer blow to their survival hopes, it's by no means over. Looking at Cardiff's next two fixtures in particular, they're both at home and they're both pretty winnable. This one against Oxford, and then on Saturday they host West Brom, who have been pretty poor on the road all season. Listen, it's a massive if, because Cardiff haven't won back-to-back games this season since October, but if they can win these next two games, oh my god, it will shake things up at the bottom of the table. The struggle for Oxford right now is they are so close to getting over the line. They just need one more win, which I think will do it for them in terms of getting above and beyond that 50-point threshold. But where's that win coming from in these three matches? This one's going to be so tight and nervy. Generally speaking, away from home this season, Oxford haven't been brilliant, but last time out, they did get that massive result away at Hillsborough, didn't they? The first goal in this game feels so decisive. I feel at this point of the season, you've just got to call it off gut feeling. And gut feeling for me, I think Cardiff just edged this one, you know. Score prediction, I'm going 1-0 Cardiff in that game, which could be a huge result at the bottom of the table. After that, we go to Hull up against Preston, and straight off the bat, this doesn't feel like a great game of football. Hull aren't scoring a lot of goals at the moment. They've only scored 3 goals now in their last 6 championship matches. They're coming off the back of a defeat on Friday away at Swansea. Preston, on the flip side, it's really not been a great few weeks and months, really, for Paul Heckingbottom's men. Just 1 win in 12 now for North End in the championship, and second half against QPR on Friday was one of the most passive performances I've seen from any championship side all season. There was no endeavour, no quality on the ball, and QPR, I think, deservedly won that one in the end. And it does leave Preston in a bit of a sticky situation going into these last 3 matches, because especially if we lose this one against Hull here, things could get uncomfortably tight in our last 2 matches. Like I was saying before, it feels like quite a low quality match where wouldn't be that surprised if 1 goal either side is enough to win this one. Hull's home record all season has been really poor, but you contrast that with Preston's away record, which has also been really poor. I wouldn't be surprised if this one ends goalless, but because I think it's Hull who have it all to do right now, I'm going to say they just edge this one. 1-0 Hull, I'm saying, but yeah, it doesn't feel like a great spectacle, that one. After that, we go to Ellen Road for Leeds up against Stoke, and yeah, this could be a big Easter Monday for Leeds United fans. They are so close now to the Premier League after that big result on Friday, beating Oxford 1-0. I thought that game could have been a bit of a banana skin away at Oxford, but a deserved 3 points in the end, and if they do indeed win this game against Stoke and then Sheffield United fail to beat Burnley in the later kickoff, Leeds' promotion will be confirmed. Now, I do have to put it out there, this one is by no means a formality against a Stoke side who have been pretty decent recently. They're unbeaten in their last 5 now, Stoke. It's back-to-back wins, a massive win for Mark Robins' men on Friday against Sheffield Wednesday. That result lifts Stoke up to that 50-point threshold that we've been talking about all season. I think that obviously sees them safe now. I think they still could give Leeds a decent run for their money here, but Leeds at home, the amount of chances they're going to create, how up for it that crowd's going to be as well, I do think it's hard to see past a Leeds United victory here. Score prediction, I'm going to go 2-0 Leeds, and whether or not that'll be good enough for promotion, let's wait and see for what I predict for the Burnley Sheff United game. After that, we go to a massive game at Kenilworth Road for Luton up against Bristol City. Luton have given themselves a fighting chance of survival with that massive result on Friday, beating Derby away 1-0. And to be fair to Luton, they have been quite decent value for money in those away matches recently against fellow relegation strugglers. You know, they've beaten the likes of Cardiff away, Hull away, and now Derby away, all within the last few weeks. This one, though, is not going to be easy, and even looking at Luton's fixtures between now and the end of the season, they've really got it all to do. They've got back-to-back home games coming up, but they're against Bristol City and Coventry. And then last day of the season, they're playing West Brom away. So no easy fixtures between now and the end of the season. But what I would say for Luton is, especially in their home matches, they've all been really tight this season. So far, Luton have had 21 home games in the Championship. They've scored 21 goals and they've conceded 21 goals. So averaging 1 goal for and 1 goal against in that time. For Bristol City, absolutely massive result on Friday, beating Sunderland, obviously. Ultimately, they became the favourites in that game as soon as Sunderland were reduced to 10 men, but still had to get the job done. Away from home this season, Bristol City have been fairly draw heavy, and I wouldn't be that surprised if that's how this game finishes. Score prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, which would still leave Luton in the balance in terms of their survival hopes. After that, we go to the Den for Millwall up against Norwich. It was not a good Friday for either of these two sides. Now, for Millwall, mathematically, it is still possible to get into the playoffs, but I think they've probably given themselves a bit too much to do. The manner of which they lost that game against Blackburn on Friday feels like that could be that for their playoff hopes. They'll need to win their last 3 games if they want to give themselves a fighting chance. And to be fair, this is a decent game for Millwall to bounce back in my opinion. Norwich, I think, have been on the beach since March. I saw a stat before that no team in the Championship has picked up fewer points since the start of March than Norwich have. The drop-off there has been absolutely staggering in recent weeks. I had a feeling that their game against Pompey was going to be a bit of a goal fest, but I had that one predicted for a 3-2 Norwich win, not a 5-3 Pompey win on the road. Feels like there's so many holes in that Norwich back line at the moment. Their away form's been poor all season. Score prediction for me in that one, I'm going to go 2-0 Millwall and back Alex Neil to get one over on his former employers. Next up, we go to an absolutely huge game at Home Park. It's Plymouth going up against Coventry, and it was such a cruel way for Plymouth to lose that game on Friday against Borough, a game where they were decent value for a point, and such a harsh penalty given against them in the last minute of that game. It really puts the emphasis onto this fixture, and I think it goes without saying this is a must-win game for Plymouth if they want to survive. In saying that, it's not going to be easy. Coventry will be riding high on confidence after that good result against West Brom on the Friday. 2-0 in that game puts them in the commanding position going into these final 3 matches in claiming a playoff spot. Although in saying that, looking at Coventry's remaining fixtures, they'll have to work for that playoff spot because they've got back-to-back away games now. This one against Plymouth, who are fighting for their lives. After that, they travel to Kenilworth Road to play Luton, who are fighting for their lives. And then last day of the season is a playoff showdown between Coventry and Middlesbrough. So it's not over whatsoever in terms of the playoff race. It's hard not to see Coventry at least scoring in this game. Although what I would say is their away form recently has been a bit spotty. Coventry have only taken 1 point from their last 3 away matches, and Plymouth have won their last 2 home games. They have been good value there at Home Park recently. With that crowd rocking them on, there could be something in the air. Gut feeling, I'm going to go 2-1 Plymouth in that game, which would keep things interesting at both ends of the table for sure. After that, we go to Portsmouth up against Watford, and what an away day I'm sure that was on Friday for those Pompey fans who did travel to Norwich. 5-3, and yeah, well deserved for every Pompey fan that has been going to away matches regularly this season, because they've not always had the rub of the green in those away games this season. You know, most of their points have come at Fratton Park, but what a display that was in the end. For Watford, I actually thought they gave a good go of that game against Burnley, especially in the first half. Obviously, things were made near impossible for them in the second half when they were reduced to not just 10 men, but 9 men in the end. They had 2 sendings off, didn't they? As a result of that, Kiembe and Sissoko will both be missing for this game against Pompey. And with how good Portsmouth have been at home this season, how many goals are seemingly in that side at the moment, I'm going to fancy them for a home win in that game. Score prediction, I'm going to go 3-1 Portsmouth, which would definitely guarantee their survival. After that, we go to Loftus Road for QPR up against Swansea. 2 sides who don't have anything to play for, so not much riding on this game, but 2 sides who have put a nice run of form together recently. QPR a few weeks ago, we were speaking about them potentially being dragged into a relegation battle. That's not happened. They've gone and beaten unbeaten in their last 4 games. I obviously watched them over a full 90 minutes on Friday as they travelled to Deepdale, and have to admit, was pretty impressed with QPR. I thought they played some really nice stuff. They got a little bit unlucky in the first half when Saito had to go off with an injury, but second half they tweaked a few things, and as painful as it was to watch as a North End fan with them scoring that late goal, I thought they were the deserved winners in the end. Now, this one against Swansea will not be easy. They've been on an absolute roll recently, haven't they? It's 4 wins on the bounce for Swansea, 4 consecutive clean sheets in that time as well. But will they keep that unbelievable run going? I do have a feeling that QPR will get at least something from this game. Score prediction for me, I'm going to say Swansea's good run of form might come to an end here. I'm going to go 2-1 QPR, but in these sorts of games where there's nothing really riding on it, anything could happen, couldn't it? After that, we go to Hillsborough for Sheffield Wednesday up against Middlesbrough. For the past few weeks, it has had a bit of a feeling around Sheffield Wednesday that they have been on the beach a little bit. Another loss for Danny Roll's side on Friday, this time away at Stoke, and we all know how poor their home form's been all season. This does feel like a decent opportunity here for Middlesbrough to put a bit of pressure on those sides above them. Now, Borough themselves probably got out of jail a little bit. I think most of us would agree on Friday with that late penalty, which, let's face it, was pretty dubious against Plymouth. But with that being said, 3 points on the board at this stage of the season is all that matters. And I'm looking at Middlesbrough's next 2 fixtures, actually, and on paper at least, I think they're both very winnable. They're playing a Sheffield Wednesday side on Monday who have nothing to play for, and on Saturday they play a Norwich City side who also have nothing to play for. I think at a bare minimum, Borough have to be rolling out 2 wins in these next 2 matches, and I think they do get another win in this one. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 2-1 Borough on the road in that game. After that, we go to the Stadium of Light for Sunderland up against Blackburn. Sunderland did lose that game on Friday against Bristol City. It was always going to be a bit of a backs against the wall sort of job when they had that early red card. It was a really well taken goal by Mayenda, but wave after wave of Bristol City attack in that game, and in the end the pressure did tell. Going up against the Blackburn side in this game, who have rediscovered their spark recently, the frustrating thing for Blackburn fans is that they've left this good uptick in form too late in the season. Have to be honest, I didn't see that result coming on Friday against Millwall especially, but they got 4 goals in that game. It's now 7 goals Blackburn have scored in their last 3 games. Back-to-back wins for Vella and Ishmael's side, and with the way that Sunderland have just sort of been coasting in these last few weeks, I do think there's something in this game for Blackburn. And to be honest, I wouldn't actually be that surprised if Blackburn go to the Stadium of Light and win. Sunderland, I think, will continue to tweak things on a weekly basis until they do get into the playoffs, wanting to keep people as fresh as possible, but they'll still want that rhythm in their main players as well. Score prediction for this game, I'm going to sit on the fence. 1-1 draw, I'm saying, between those 2. After that, we go to the Hawthorns for West Brom up against Derby. Mathematically, West Brom can still get into the playoffs, but it feels like their top 6 hopes are probably over now following that loss against Coventry on Friday. It felt like, as a bare minimum, they needed at least a point from that game. But zooming out a little bit, West Brom's form in these last few months has been nowhere near good enough to warrant playoffs. So what's the mentality of the squad coming into this sort of game? I'm not really so sure, to be honest with you. At home this season, they have been a tough nut to crack. They've only lost 3 times at home all season. It's generally been their away form which has been the issue this season. But Derby are still scrapping for their lives. It felt like Friday was a massive missed opportunity for them when they lost against Luton. Despite throwing everything at Luton in the second half, they just couldn't find that goal, could they? This one feels like it's going to be a bit scrappy, to be honest with you. With the way that Friday went for both of these sides, I feel like Derby could be good value for at least a point in this game. I feel like they've got to throw everything at it. Score prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-1 there, which would end West Brom's playoff hopes. And then to round off the Easter Monday fixtures, it's by far the biggest game that we've got coming up. It's at Turf Moor. It's Burnley up against Sheffield United, and the permutations around this game are absolutely massive. Obviously, Leeds United will be keeping a keen eye on it, but if Burnley win, they're promoted. It's as simple as that. Now, for the neutral, a Sheffield United win would probably make things a little bit more interesting in terms of the drama around the top of the table in these last few matches, but Both teams managed to get the job done on Friday. Burnley came from a goal behind to win against Watford. Potentially a bit of a banana skin that game could have been. Watford threw quite a bit of them in the first half, but they rode that storm in the end and got the job done. Sheff Utd has been well documented in recent weeks. It's not been a good run of form for them, but got back to winning ways as they needed to against Cardiff, and it does set up an interesting matchup in this one. Now, you've got to throw it out there straight away. Burnley have not lost at Turf Moor all season. Would it be typical for their first loss to come in such a decisive game like this? That would be peak Championship, but Sheffield United have to go and do what no Championship side has managed to do this season. The other thing that I do think has to be thrown out there is, generally speaking, in head-to-head games this season, Sheffield United's record against the so-called, big boys, the fellow promotion chasers, it's not been brilliant. They've lost twice against Leeds this season, Sheff United. They lost the reverse fixture against Burnley earlier in the season as well. It does have to be said that more often than not, these have been the sorts of matches that Sheff United have come up short in this season. But if any manager in the Championship is capable of getting his team G'd up for a big game like this, surely it is Chris Wilder. But with the calmness of Burnley, the lack of goals that backline ships, the fact that they're at home as well, so that already gives them a bit of an edge, and there's probably a bit less pressure on Burnley as well. I'm going to put my neck on the line and say that Burnley do get the job done here. Score prediction, I'm going to go 1-0 in classic Scott Parker fashion. A Sheff United win would definitely make things a bit more interesting, but I've just got a feeling that Burnley will get the job done there. But I'd love to hear your guys' predictions for that one, especially in the comments down below. But guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you did go in to enjoy, make sure to leave a like, and do drop your score predictions in the comments down below. It's going to be very hectic on Monday, but I cannot wait. Thanks as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.